Hey guys, time for another update on the Storm Eagle build, and where we're up to at the moment is working on the engine and the wing assembly. So taking a little bit of time just to figure out how all this goes together, as the instructions aren't fantastic, but I think we've got the basic idea now. So I'll just run that by you, and along with a few modifications that I'm going to be doing. Fortunately, everything seems to fit really well. It's the complete opposite to the issues that I had with the hull, so I think this part is going to be pretty good to get along with. So we've got the main thruster here. You've got the fans, thrusters out the back, big solid block of resin. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to fully pin the engine to the hull or if I'm going to perhaps magnetize it for like storage purposes and things like that. I'll have to see what the tolerances are like. But the basic engine block is going to lock into here, flush with that. So I'm thinking that just for dry fitting purposes I will probably do some pinning anyway, just along the three main parts here, maybe along the section, just to get that in solid. So that's going to go there. I'm not going to do all of that right this very moment. The instructions say to attach the engine assembly prior to the wings. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to attach the wing section to the engines and then attach it, like do the pinning and stuff first, but then sort of add that in as a whole piece. However, big engine block. Then you've got the other parts of the wing that are going to go on together. So we've got the main wing section here with the ventral thrusters. This is not glued yet or anything, just dry fitting. And then we have the rear tail, and the triangular bit there is going to fit over the triangular slot here. That'll be nice and snug. And then those sections will attach to the rest of the wing like this, and that's going to make a nice solid connection there. And then, as I said, what I'm thinking of doing is taking this and then blocking that into there, and have that removable for storage in case of droppages, you know, all sorts of things that can happen. So onto this section, going to have the thrusters will be movable, because you have, like on the front, you've got a section that locks that in but keeps it swiveling. This part here is the housing for the weapons, and the main wing weapons you've got options. You have the las cannons, which slot in there, or the Hellstrike missiles. The way they're set up, you could just kind of dry fit them in there, and you know, they might loosely hold, but they'll probably just come out. Hellstrike missiles fit a little bit better because there's less weight. You can just slot them in there. But what I'm planning on doing is magnetizing them, just for extra stability, security, and all those other words. So what we've got, this section just slots on there. So what we've got is this channel in here, and basically the weapon systems just slot in like that, and then this goes over the wing, under the wing. And you got these other little, I don't know, heat exhausts maybe, and they slot in the back. So that slots in there like that. You can see that there's a little lip on the end of the las cannon piece there, this little lip. The Hellstrike missile does not have that extra lip, it's just flush like that. So what I've done, I've just grabbed some plasticard, just a couple of layers of the thin plasticard, and I'm going to have those, and that's just going to slot into here. That's going to create a solid backing in there. So it's double thick, so if I drill a hole in here and insert a magnet, then with the missiles, just put a single hole and a magnet in there, and then they should just slot in there, and they'll fit flush like that, right next to each other, nice and secure. With the las cannons, it's going to be a little bit of an issue, because as I said, we've got that lip there, so that's not going to create as secure a connection, because that really wants to go down a little bit further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave that lip off and just make it flush. And there should be enough there, should be enough thickness that I should still be able to get a small magnet into the back. Just have to be careful with it. And then that will fit flush, the same as the Hellstrike, and then we'll just have to magnetize like that. And just like a 2 or 3 mil magnet would probably do the trick. I've seen some other assemblies where it's sort of put back further and sort of built up so that this still fits snugly in there. I mean, you could do that. There's no reason why you couldn't just get a piece of sprue. For myself, it's just seems a bit easier to just shave that off and put that in there. So that's the plan for that. But yeah, no, it's coming together a lot easier than the rest of the build so far. So I'm hoping to make some good progress on that this week. Get some things painted up and ready to go. And yeah, then working on the rest of the wing on the other side, landing gear, all that good stuff. So again, the instructions haven't been fantastic, so I've just kind of had to experiment and figure out with what fits where. But just by and large, a lot easier than the whole section. So there we go, that's just a quick update. I'll keep going with this, and I'll add a little bit to this as I keep going. So we'll catch you on the next update. Hey guys, here's a midweek review. Just going to update on how I've been going with the wing assembly, wing and engine assembly on the Storm Eagle. Please forgive the clutter. I've been playing around with various tools and things, trying to get all this working. Anyhow, my initial idea was to use some magnets on the engine block, so that I would be able to take it on and off for moving it around, storage, that sort of thing, because having a model with a large wingspan, you know, say that big, is going to make it a little hard to move about and carry. So I was going to use these large magnets for that, and failing that I was going to try a little bit of pinning to see if that would work, just using the usual pin clip, all that sort of thing. Anyhow, the long and short of that is that it didn't really work, and I've had to repair a little bit of damage that I've done. So what I tried was I tried 3 magnets to start with. So I made 3 pretty large drill holes in the engine block there, which I've started filling in again with putty because it didn't work, and 3 corresponding holes here in the fuselage. And as far as it went, it snapped together pretty well, like it was a good solid connection, up until the point it got any up and down movement, and then it would come away. And that wasn't something that I felt really comfortable with in terms of a model like this, having the whole wings assembly just drop off any sort of up and down movement. So I thought, well, I've got some of the magnet holes and magnets and all that, so what I'll do is I'll try reinforcing it with some pins, see if that works. So added in some pins and magnets and pins, and it just, I wasn't satisfied with how strong the connection was. As far as the pins went, I think they were too thin. I don't think it was going to give me a solid enough connection to feel safe. So, from that point, I don't want to give up on the whole idea just yet, because I think it's still going to be important to be able to have the sections come on and off. I mean, I could attach the engines, have them glued, and then just have the gotta get the right wing assemblies there, and just have the wing assembly section tab on and off, because there's going to be less weight on there. That's one possible answer. I would still, just for stability, like to pin the engines, because it's going to help a lot with the gluing, and there's not a lot of support underneath. You've got these blocks on the top that run along as supports, and the weight is kind of supported under there, so you got the weight sort of coming off there. And I would feel more comfortable if I had something a bit more solid in there to attach it. So I'm going to do some more work with that. I'll probably pick up some thicker brass rod for that. I do have some brass rods here, but they are the hollow variety, and just a hollow brass rod. I think I would like to have something that's actually solid. Doesn't have to be quite this thick, but maybe half the size or a third the size, and just go in there again and have it go a bit deeper. Maybe just maybe so far into the actual block, because this back piece here is all one solid block, so there's plenty of room to be able to drill into there. But I'm just kind of tidying up the mess that I made at the moment while I try and figure out what's next. On the weapon front, I have got the magnets in place for the las cannons, and they just slot out there. Hellstrike missiles can slide in there. It's all magnetized, all fits in there really well. So I have made some progress, despite a couple of little setbacks there. So that wing assembly is all going to be good. I'm going to give that a base coat in the not too distant future. Again, I think what I might do for the magnetizing is just put 2 or 3 smaller magnets along this section, and then that lines up over here like so. So you've got a big solid block there for that to go on. So I'll see about that as another option, because I just think having the big wings hanging off is just not going to be great for storage and moving things around. So anyway, we're going forward with that. It's not a big deal, not a huge drama, because these parts are going to be hidden from main view, and just a bit of putty. Just using some liquid green stuff in there, but I've also got some Milliput, which will also do the trick, make it really solid if I want to re-drill. It'll depend on what size brass rods I get. So we're doing okay. Just didn't go together as smoothly as I would have liked in that respect. So far magnets haven't failed me. This is kind of the first occasion where they haven't sort of done what I was planning them to, and that's fine. It's good to know the limitations and all that sort of thing. Just a quick update on the front of the ship there. Let me just get a bit of light on there. I had to redo the landing gear essentially because just adjust that. I'm not getting very good light in there for some reason. I had to adjust the way that I had done the ramp. I had originally magnetized both sides so that I could pull it apart and make sure that it was adjusted correctly. What happened was, when this front section eventually went together, the base section was pulled apart further, and so the magnets were no longer sitting flush with where they were installed. So I kind of had to rethink what I was doing with that and give myself a bit of leeway. So I still wanted the magnet. Didn't want to go through and pin and everything. So I sort of compromised. What I did was kept the magnet on this side, but on this side I removed it and drilled a hole in this section just all the way through there so that I could insert the pin, and then that just shimmies a little bit to allow for the necessary movement, and it still closes up flush. So that ended up turning out okay. It just requires a little bit of wiggle room because the front part of the fuselage is not straight, squared. It's just kind of a bit of a mess. Just holding a few things together, I put in a couple of extra pins up the front. They're a little bit awkward because you can sort of see them. That pin there. What it's going to sort of look like, or I'm going to make it look like, it's just like extra rivets. But what happened was, unfortunately, when I was sort of pressing everything down to hold it, this corner piece here just totally broke off. Big chunk just broke straight off there because it was so brittle. So that required a little bit of emergency gluing, and will maybe require a little bit of sanding and some green stuff just to smooth that part out before the final coat goes on. But just getting everything lined up was kind of rough. I've got a little bit of a bulge here that's going to need a little bit of heat just to press down, get that cleaned up. Got there in the finish. It was just a matter of getting everything lined up. I don't know what I'm going to do with this rear section. Everything seems to fit so far, but because these are all just resin clips, it's not going to be robust. I'm not going to be able to just be moving the back door hinged all the time. So I'll have to sort of probably just keep it closed, I think, unless I can put together some sort of pneumatic system, which I've seen people do, but it's kind of beyond the scope of what I was planning. But anyhow, yeah, going to carry on with the wings, etc. this week. Hopefully get some of those sections painted up, and then get the brass rods sorted out. I'll worry about that part last. So, yep, the path going forward is a bit clearer, and gonna look forward to getting those all set up, painted up, ready to go. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I will be doing some more work this week, definitely on the weekend, so I hope to have another update soon. Take it easy. Alright, time for another update before I get this particular video uploaded. Just doing some more work on the engine and the wing. Just a few cosmetic details. Here's the the engine. As you can see, I've given it a base coat, done a bit of detailing there on the actual engine part. I've gone with the tin bits undercoat, dry brushed with some bolt gun metal, then some black by the exhaust, just to show its use, been blackened up. Filled in the holes there, which I had put in for the magnets. Just a basic blue coat, just so that it, I don't know, just feels like it's coming together. So that's the engine part, and that's the starboard engine. That's going to hook on underneath here, which again I'm going to try and get some brass rods to actually get that fitting in securely. And then we have the wing assembly. And this isn't quite glued together yet because I still need some detailed work on some of these parts that will be tricky to get to. The exhausts there, I'm going to dry brush them in the silver, pick out a little bit of dwarf bronze. So the vertical engines go into this slot, and that gets covered over by this, and this is our weapon system. I don't know if I've grabbed the right one, I think I have. And that just slots in there with the magnets, like so. And then this whole piece slots into the top of the engine. And then that as one solid block will go on like so. Let me turn that around a little bit. Not a lot of space to actually show it all. But that's going to be the bulk of how that part goes together. And just looking at it like this just makes it seem that much more put together. So I'm going to carry on with that, do the other side, and then I got to grab some rods or something just to make that fit securely. So really, as far as the assembly side goes, that's pretty much done. It's really just painting up the detail work from there, and then the engines will be set aside. And then there's more work on the main hull. There's some blocks that go here. These are part of the landing gear, so that's going to have to be worked in conjunction with all that other stuff. Make sure everything fits in correctly. Landing gear, all that sort of thing. Hatchway, I'll probably give an undercoat soon. Still not 100% certain how the whole deal's going to go with this, but I'll worry about that. It'll probably be one of the last elements to go together, provided everything actually fits. And yeah, just done a little bit more work on the side of the hull, just because this wasn't sitting flush, so I've sanded that down a bit, and I've got a bit of green stuff just to even things up a bit. It requires a little bit more work to just get that shape matching, because I had this big bow in it where it just humped and just made it look awful there. The other engines and wing is pretty much ready to go, just to be assembled and painted, so that part's going to come along fairly smoothly, I would hope. And then we've got other pieces to deal with. The slots there that go across the back. I've got the canards still to go on, but the bulk of the main fuselage and all that's pretty much done. So this is the canard here that will go across the front, just like an aileron. Probably find a way to secure that in such a way that it's not going to snag on something and break off if you bump it. So there we go, we're just making some steady progress now, which is good. And just doing a rough base coat just to get a feel for it, see what detailing needs to go where, what's going to be hidden, what needs to be kept clean for gluing purposes and pinning and all that sort of thing. So we're getting there folks, and it's made a nice change to work on pieces that have just gone together. So not a lot of thoughts or suggestions at this stage of the game, just I really wish the magnet idea had worked out. Clearly not strong enough based on how everything aligns, so I just have to rethink that, go with some thick brass. Maybe something the size of like one of these drill bits, maybe something that sort of thick will be good and allow me to sort of slot it on and off. Probably the direction I'm going to go with that. But the rest of it so far has been pretty simple, normal model build, not too many dramas aside from my own experimenting. But yeah, there we go. Getting there, and pleased to see the shape starting to come together. So that's probably going to be the last update for this week, and I'm just going to carry on working on the wings, getting those lined up, and I'll see about getting some rods. Might order some online, see what thicknesses they've got. So yeah, it's all turned out fairly satisfactory so far. So pretty pleased, gotta say, to be at this stage. So there we go. I hope you enjoy watching me struggle through this, and hope you get some hints and tips for your own potential builds. So for now, I will leave it there, and I will catch you guys next time.